Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the WCW Saturday Night Review for the 7th of March, 1992. Going backwards in the 1992 catalog here, kind of a cool thing, especially since I didn't see most of this stuff at the time. This is the opening footage from the post Super Bowl press conference to open the program, in which the U.S. champion Rick Rood interrupted WCW World Championship holder Sting. Also throws a drink in his face. I actually loved this segment as a kid because I remember seeing it in other months later. Saw it in hype for other Sting and Rood matches. Also, WCW magazine segment hosted by Eric Bischoff, in which he reported the events of Super Bowl II, showed Sting's entrance from the show, and aired footage of Jesse Ventura interviewing Sting about the pre-match comments between he and Lex Luger. Interview conducted with Diamond Dallas Page as well, in which DDP takes exception to K. Allen Fry and officials saying that Williams and Gordy might not come, and said it's a done deal, including a promo by WCW Tag Team Champion Arn Anderson, in which he told fans to stay off steroids, featuring an ad for WCW Japan Super Show number 2, including footage from backstage interview with Sting following Super Bowl, in which Sting talked about the possibility of defending against the Great Muta in Japan and Big Van Vader, and comparing Lex Luger to Ric Flair, calling Luger a harder person to defeat, although Flair at this point is in the WWF, so that makes sense. Rood, Medusa, and Larry Zbyszko, and Steve Austin, and Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson walked in. Everyone but Rood and Medusa in tuxedos. Moments later, Rood throws the drink in Sting's face, in which the two of them brawl until the Dangerous Lion interfered. The brawl is going on, and Nikita Koloff comes to Sting's aid, but there's a close shot of Koloff. He refused to go things forward, and then again, more anti-steroids commercials. Then we go to the actual matches. Michael Hayes, Jimmy Garvin defeating Thomas Rich and Tracy. Smothers 526. Garvin pins Rich when Hayes drops Rich and DDT behind the referee's back. Rich hits this press on Garvin prior to the bout. Hayes and Garvin go into the crowd, lip syncing along with their theme song, which I guess is fine, although not exactly a super run there for them at the time. Kind of more of a last ditch to try and keep the Freebird vibe going. It doesn't go very well, but it is what it is. And they do this following more deal on pay-per-view, and then Richard Morton is out here in that whole exchange. Again, the wonder that is kind of the Freebirds staying in control over that, and Jimmy Garvin trying to strut around. Obviously, Michael Hayes, the more known of the Freebirds at the time. I think Hayes and Garvin become the Freebirds late in '91. Short match here. Hayes and Garvin are doing some very basic wrestling, and that tandem really doesn't go that far in 1992. Then we go to a Brad Armstrong and Richard Morton match. They run about 8 minutes, 9 seconds, something like that. Morton, of course, a heel with the York Foundation thing here in 1992. They exchange head scissors, arm bars, and the like. Morton, not really a guy who takes a backward step, keeps his man down with the inverted chin lock and all of that. Armstrong, who later becomes your your light heavyweight champion, certainly has designs on having, I don't know that I'd say better matches at the time, but certainly um, Morton is being used as a heel here to get Brad Anderson over. I don't know that it worked to the level that he expected, but Armstrong really does take a good beating as it relates. As mentioned, Bischoff here kind of does acknowledge some of the winners and losers at Super Brawl. Chris Sullivan and John Peterson up next. Windham and Rhodes are their opponents. Windham and Rhodes coming back together after being a major tag team force in 1991-ish time frame before the enforcers, Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko, put them together. For some reason, we see Rhodes and Windham kind of wearing street clothes, jeans, and T-shirts, and all of that. More kind of trying to get a brawler's style there. Also, hyping the upcoming Bunkhouse Stampedes with Anderson and Zbyszko at the time, or Anderson and Eaton, depending on where we're going. Rhodes and Windham win with a lariat. Jesse Ventura is highlighted here. Press conference, as mentioned, where he asks Sting a lot of, I wouldn't say personal questions, but questions about the value of his championship win. Very basic stuff here. Then we see Johnny B. Bad out next. Johnny B. Bad, of course, a talent who, I don't know in 1992 if anybody took him terribly seriously. He is facing off in this against, let's see here. Sonny Trout beat them with a left-hand punch after the bout. And I mean, this is just literally a couple arm drags, a top rope sunset flip from Bad, and the knockout punch. After the bout, Eric Bischoff is there and conducts a ringside interview with Bad regarding his match the following night at the Omni with Brian Pillman for the Light Heavyweight Championship. Pillman interrupts, calling out Richard Morton for what happened earlier in the show. Morton lays him out, and then they have a showing match, and then they brawl around. Bad then punches out Pillman with, with basic aggression, hyping their Omni match back when they were trying to make the Omni seem like their version of Madison Square Garden. Cactus Jack defeats Kenny Bronson with a double arm DDT at 2:36. Junkyard Dog providing guest commentary for the match. And yes, Junkyard Dog guest commentary was, in fact, as bad as it sounds. He was not a coherent commentator by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, punches and kicks from Cactus Jack during the match, followed by the double arm DDT. Cactus, of course, a guy they are going to be pushing a good bit later. Although I don't even know that at this point they knew where that was going around here. Needless to say, we have a enhancement match with the U.S. Tag Team Champions, Taylor and Greg Valentine, Terrence Taylor, Greg Valentine, versus Danny Potson and Joe Weston. 221, Taylor calling the, or covering the pinfall, getting the 5-arm. After the bout, the footage is shown of Taylor and Valentine winning the championships to kind of hype that up. Larry Zbyszko and WCW Tag Team Champion Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton, with Medusa defeating Brian Pillman, Tom Zink, and Marcus Alexander Bagwell. 11:15, Anderson pins Bagwell after Eaton gets involved. Anderson drops Bagwell throat first across the top rope behind the referee's back. Bagwell's neck is heavily covered following an injury he sustained earlier in the show from U.S. champion Terrence Taylor. During the match, It was noted that Magnum TA would be part of the main event the following evening. This is probably the best match on this particular program just because of the caliber of wrestlers in the ring. I don't think we have that caliber of 6 guys you can put in the ring today that kind of can put a match together like these guys can. Obviously, Zink and Anderson have had wars over the television title prior, and also Pillman and Anderson, just an interesting thing because they'd be Horseman stablemates a few years later. Pillman still a babyface here, getting a few roll-ups, much to the chagrin of anybody who didn't want to see Pillman in control. Anyway, drop kicks, and ultimately leading to the heels having to cut the ring off. Bobby Eaton getting involved in something longer than needs to be. Worth going out of your way to see this match if you like basic heel selling and the Dangerous Alliance. To me, the best stable in wrestling history. I know some people say the Horsemen, but the Dangerous Alliance did more in a year than the Horsemen did in their later years, so that's why I come to them being the best stable in history. Then we go to, obviously, the victory in that match. Rick Rude up next. Rick Rude, of course, your U.S. champion and the number one contender. Rude punch kick and a couple of short moves, including a pile driver and the Rude Awakening. His opponent, just an FYI, happens to be, let's see here, beating Norman Rolland with the Rude Awakening, 51 seconds. Bischoff conducts an interview with Rude afterwards, and Steve Austin makes his way out. Paulie Dangerously also regarding their match with Sting and Steamboat the next night at the Omni. Again, the Omni being such a major force. Steve Austin with Paulie Dangerously is your WCW television champion at the time. Van Hammer's his opponent. Beats him with a stun gun after Hammer knocks out Dangerously, knocking him off the apron. Main event the following night would also feature Ron Simmons and Vinny Vegas and the light heavyweight champion Brian Pillman, Brad Armstrong versus Richie Morton and Johnny B. Bad. Bad still considered I guess you'd say, heel at the time. Rick Rude also provides guest commentary for the match, and after the bout, Austin double-teamed Hammer until Sting and Ricky Steamboat make the save, setting up their main event or close to main event in the Omni coming up. Again, Paulie Dangerously says that his Dangerous Alliance can take out anyone, including Sting and Steamboat. He doesn't care one way or the other. Van Hammer, not a guy that's ready for this level of match. Steve Austin and Van Hammer look kind of awkward with each other. Van Hammer gets spun around, and basically, then we see, Anderson or Austin staying on the arm, rolling through, and basically keeping things going in his general best direction. Austin then cuts his man off and continues to brawl, and again, a victory for Steve Austin, thanks in part to the stun gun and in part to the interference from Paul E. Dangerously. That leads to the stun gun able to be executed. We will be back with more right after this.